Hi YouTube, how you guys doing out there? This is Thomas. How y'all doing out there? Um, I'm doing a YouTube special here. Wanted to tell you guys what's been going on with me about the last month. Having some health issues, and I wanted to let you guys know what's going on. It's a long story, and the best way I can tell you the story is that it's on my podcast, and I'll put a link down at the bottom of this description of this video where you can get the extended version of what's going on with me. But basically, it involves my health, and your health is very important to you. It's a God's gift, and if your health is in any type of problems, well, you're in big trouble. You only have one body. You only have one. You can't go out and get another one. This is not, bait and switch, or you can't go out there and switch parts like a car. No, you have one engine. You have one body, and that's it. Although they can keep it in tune, but you only have basically one body. And for the most part of what I've been growing with, had great. Well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor's been giving me pretty good reviews. And over the years, as you get older, your momentum slows down. Your body starts to slow down a little bit. Your metabolism starts to slow down. But that also means that there's some changes with you also. So you definitely have to take those tests and things like that. But for someone who's always been healthy and always been given good reviews, I thought it was carte blanche, that I could continue doing whatever I was doing. But it came to a point where I started having some health issues, and it's gotten really serious. And I want to call this podcast. The podcast is called Full Measures. The reason why it's called Full Measures is because before this scare, I have been doing half measures. Half measures are just half steps, meaning that, okay, I know I got to do this. Let me just do a little bit just to get me going. Okay, I don't need to do all of this. Let me just go ahead and do this so that I cover my bases. Basically, that's what I've been doing. But for the most part, all of my health, I've been in good health. But the thing has been, my weight's been creeping up. And I know this, I'm a healthcare provider. I know this, but I got it in check. That's what I was believing myself. I got it in check. Well, when my pant sizes started to increase from 36 to 38, 38 to 40. Okay, 40 is where your BMI is a little high and you're at increased risk of cardiovascular disease. I said, okay, all right, let me go ahead. Let me go back to what I was doing before. I was doing the South Beach diet, and I lost about 30 pounds at that time. I said, okay, all right, let me go ahead and do this. So I went back to doing what I had done before, which I had successful. But what happened was I started cheating, and the cheating just continued to cheat. And by the time I realized, my weight started to continue to creep up. Now I'm wearing size 42 pants, which is not good, but I'm over the line. But I'm saying, okay, all right, I know what I need to do. I need to do X, Y, Z. Let me go back and do what I did before. The same mentality, the same thing. And what happens with insanity? What they say about insanity? You just keep doing the same thing, and you get the same outcome. Nothing changed. And so what happened is my weight continued to increase. Size 44 pants, then finally size 56. It's not 56, 46. At that point, it was a problem. My pants didn't fit. I just had a lot of problems with breathing. And it got to the point where, I said, okay, I need to do something about this. But I was still doing half measures. Half measures, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to cut back on this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But what happens with these half measures? Half measures don't work. My thing is that I have to go back and do what I had done before, which has always been my mantra. And it's the same thing as insanity, because I was going to do the same thing as I'd done the previous times, and the same outcome was going to happen. Well, this time it got really serious, because about a month ago, I started to have eye changes in my eye, the back of my eye. And what happened was there was a spot on my eye, and long story short, it was related to my blood pressure. My blood pressure had been creeping up to a high level. And I said, okay, the doctor had a real good talk with me, and I knew the talk because I've given a talk before. So she says I need to change my diet and I need to see a doctor. Okay, I know. So the next day I went, my blood pressure was still high. Okay. So what ultimately happened was I went to the emergency room. They gave me some medication. Now, the last thing that I want to do was get on medication. To me, medication would be the kind of thing where you do a full measure, where you have to be on medication to maintain your blood pressure. And that's something I did not want to do. But the hard reality is I am doing everything that I'm not doing. I'm doing half measures. So that's not helpful to me. So the full measures is that I had to completely change my whole philosophy of thinking of how to eat. And I'm developing that right now. And I've already lost about 6 pounds already just by changing my diet. And I'm in the middle of a keto challenge with my best friend Barry Phillips, and we're going to do another podcast in a couple of weeks about how we're doing with this. So, but I wanted to put this podcast out so I can show you guys what I'm doing and to help myself, and maybe it might help somebody else in the future. But when your blood pressure is high, you definitely need to get it treated. That's the first thing. Second, if your weight circumference or if your BMI is greater than 40, you're at an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease. And cardiovascular disease is the silent killer, because I felt no problem at all until I started having bleeding in my retina, which caused me to have changes because of my blood pressure being so high. And the doctor told me I was lucky. Thank you, Lord, for what you did for me to show me a different way. But I wanted to talk to you guys quickly. A description of the podcast is going to be on the bottom. It's much more extended. But thank you very much, and just check in with me, and I check in with you on this podcast, on the Healthy Apple Tree podcast. And I want to say thank you very much, and I'll see you guys down the road. Bye-bye.